Welcome to the Travel Bug Girls podcast, the show where we dive into the world of travel, exploring everything from expert tips and insider secrets to unforgettable destinations and the latest trends. Whether you're a seasoned globetrotter or planning your very first adventure, we've got you covered with the advice and inspiration you need to make your travels truly unforgettable. So sit back, relax, and let's take your travel planning to the next level. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Travel Bug Girls podcast. We're glad you guys came to join us today. Hello. I'm Kimmy. I'm your host, and I'm here with Tina, Cassie, and Heather. We are the Travel Bug Girls, and today we are going to talk about how to have a wonderful extended family trip. I'm very excited to learn about this because I have some disaster stories, but not really any wonderful stories. So
we all need Cassie to plan our family vacation.
Yes. Cassie is she's our family travel planner, and so she's going to kind of be taking the lead on this one and hopefully give us some great tips on how we can plan a successful trip with our extended family, which you do quite often, right? Am I right, Cassie? Yeah.
Once a year at least.
Okay.
I know some people consider extended family. I have myself and my husband and my 2 children, and then my mom and dad and sister and brother-in-law go a lot with us too. And I know it's not the same for everybody, but the travel hack with children is take the grandparents. So
I love that. Built-in babysitters, right? Well, let's just jump right into it. I'd love to hear one of your stories. You have any good extended family trip stories?
So the very first time my extended family went on vacation, me and my husband had been married a year. And I was new. We were all new. I was the traveler from day one. Everybody thought, hey, let's get Cassie to plan us a family trip. We all want to go to the beach. So Cassie had never been to the beach. So we had a Facebook family group. And if I could give anybody use a travel agent to mediate, because somebody has to take the lead. You have family members that are just kind of like out in the outskirts, like, yeah, whatever you guys do are fine. Then you have family members that's like, I don't like the way that pool looks. I don't like that place. That's near some place I don't want to be. So a travel agent could help alleviate a lot of your stressors. So the very first time we went, we had no idea about the beach, anything like that. There's about 15 of us that go at any one time, my uncles and aunts and cousins. At that time, I've always been I'm the one that's going to take the hit gal. So we went, and my oldest uncle, he does a lot of things. He works on his computer. He's on his computer. He watches the news a lot. He's very high stress, high strung kind of guy. He doesn't like to do a lot of activities. My family we had a lot of little kids. I didn't have little kids at the time, but my sister was like 4. My cousins were all small. So we got this house because we thought, hey, a great way to help with this trip cost is each family will take a meal a night. And so each family, we all said what we were going to get, what we were going to fix, made sure it was okay with everybody, the basic spaghetti, hot dogs, hamburgers, that kind of thing. But each family was in charge of cooking enough each night for everybody. So my aunt, she would go out and do the things with us, but my uncle would stay back at the room. So we went back to the room at least 2 to 3 times a day because her oldest son was a teenager. And we went to the Taco Bell that was by the house so much. They learned who we were and what we were going to order in the week that we were here at this beach place. I think we were there 14 times in 7 days. So every time, and she would be like, we've got to go take them some lunch. We've got this, this was in the days prior to Uber Eats and all of these things. So she was very worried about them eating. So we had to be the ones to take the food all day, every day. So that's just kind of my funny little, you got to know your family story. Mm-hmm. But generally, when we're going to plan a big family trip, we're currently looking at Yellowstone now to go with most of us. So we do look at houses versus hotels, because we do cook a lot of our meals. Especially my great aunt, she goes now, and she is a big breakfast person. She'll make a breakfast and that would feed an army. So that helps kind of, offset your cost a little bit. But as far as just general, what we do is I know each family's different, and people can be difficult. They have different ideas of what a vacation should be for them. And I think it's important to kind of put that all out there at the beginning, that, hey, we're going to plan some things. If you don't want to do those things, it's okay. We don't have to hold each other's hands every minute of this trip to have a good time. I know the beach is a place that we go a lot that seems to, if you have kids, you can occupy them at the beach. If you are bored, you can walk out to the beach. Things like that. That's very important, is looking at your location and where you all want to go together. Mm-hmm. And especially now with older parents, older members of the family going, we have to look at mobility, accessibility, what's everybody going to want to do while they're there, stuff like that. And that's up to your lead person to figure out what you're going to be doing while you're on vacation. So
how do you determine like your budget? Because you have a lot of different families coming together. It might have different budget constraints or no budget constraints. So how do you decide, like, as far as like the money part of it? Because I know that can be like a huge stressor, and with families, and end up causing issues. So what's a good way to work that out?
I think the best way with a budget, I think the destination is generally, the budget and destination kind of go hand in hand. So one year as a family, we live about 3.5 hours from Cincinnati. We were all having a rough year that summer, and everybody financially was just really having a hard time. So we did 5 days in Cincinnati. There was zoos, there was aquariums. We stayed very cheap in a very sketchy area. But all the kids cared about was the pool. So as long as our hotel had a pool, like, that box was checked. We ate cheaper. We didn't go out to steakhouses and things like that. But there was things to do as a family that was interesting. We were in an area that you could walk if you wanted to go and shop and nobody was there, kind of thing. But I think the destination is probably at the top of the list with your budget. Also, you have to look at, with the destination and the budget, is transportation. I have, and most frequently, rent a 15-passenger van that we pick up, and we all split the costs. We have before, if one family specifically having kind of a difficult financial time and the rest of the families want to stay in a nicer place, we will take X amount of dollars from this family that's having a hard time and split it up between the 3 families that are wanting the nicer place. So they're kind of like paying an extra cost. But my family's not really a you owe me $20 kind of family. We all go to have a good time, and we do what we can to help each other. I know that's not across the board kind of how it is, but that's just how we do it. And generally, when we're looking at accommodations, like I said, we always go for a house versus a hotel room. However, I will say, because I am a Disney travel agent, I will not stay outside of the Disney bubble if we go to Disney, under no circumstances. So we would rent when we go. And this is another thing with having a travel agent. We stayed in family suites before at Disney when my mom, and so there's 8 of us. So we stayed in a family suite. However, sometimes it's cheaper to book 2 adjoining rooms than it is to pay the extra to have the family suite, because you pay a little higher rate. So that's another good thing with having a travel agent is they can check all of those prices and know if a room sleeps 5 people or sleeps 6 people or 8 people or whatever. But transportation is definitely a biggie. If you're trying to get all of those people somewhere, you have to move them from point A to point B. And I know my family, we're from the country, like my bunch ain't Ubering nowhere. If it's outside of me and my husband and my mom, like they ain't Ubering. So we gotta try to figure that out.
That's a real issue. Like Cassie, that's a real issue. Like so I'm mostly working with European travel, and in Europe, that's a huge issue, especially once you move into that mobility limited group. That is, or even like babies and strollers, the infrastructure there, you're talking cobblestone streets, sometimes like really high curbs that are granite, and people have to step up and down just to get on and off a sidewalk or get into a building. And if you're like, well, we always rent a house, which is what we did in America too. We always rented a big house when we traveled together as family. Well, now once you're in Europe, that's cool. There are lots of apartments you can rent for the week in Paris or something, or Italy, but you're going to be climbing 4 flights of stairs and carrying all your luggage and hauling your grandma up there and the stroller, and like it's not a small thing. So like mobility and transportation, huge. And you definitely want to do some research and not just choose the most obvious, cheapest thing. Definitely having an expert is key in that situation. Yeah.
Even car seats. Car seats seem to be like the bane of everybody's existence as is a car seat, and figuring out if, this has a car seat, or can we add a car seat, or do we need to take, I hate taking car seats, booster seats on the plane because they're beat all to heck. And then by the time you get them off, are you going to get them? Are they on a different plane? Like, it's always been an issue, but, I think, on top of transportation, and with any family thing, I think communication is the key. Mm-hmm. If you keep everybody informed and in the loop, you will circumvent a lot of problems that are going to occur with the possibility of traveling. We had touched on it before, vacation versus traveling. I have aunts and my mother that like to shop. They would shop till they dropped the whole trip. That's all they want to do when they go is shop. And then we have my uncles and myself who are a little more geared. We like historical things. We like to go do historical stuff. And then I have an uncle and an aunt that they don't want to do anything. Like they just want to chill out at the place. Like, bring us something back to eat. We're good. We don't have to go anywhere. So I think when you're thinking about a group of people, generally what I do, we like to do, we always like to stop at a welcome center and get a lot of pamphlets. And day one, all those pamphlets are on the table. We all watch the news, the local news, so we can see the weather. So we can kind of plan our week around, number one, what the weather is going to be, and number two, what's everybody want to do. I will say it's very helpful to, kind of have that, you need to be flexible. You need to be flexible with people. People get sick. People have bad days. You may have planned the best day ever and everybody is just not feeling it today. It's you have to be very respectful of your family and what their needs are individually. But generally, I think communication is the way to get things across. If you want to change something, my husband always says, just pick and tell us what we're supposed to be doing. And so we have a lot of, I don't care what we do, whatever, that's fine. I don't care where we eat. Like, so somebody's got to pick. Somebody has to be better.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of tools though now that exist that make that easier. Like, the example of like spreading out, here's all the pamphlets, here's all the ideas. Now we have some systems that we work with that, they have like all the common tours and activities and tickets available in one place. And you can grab a link and share that link with your whole group in advance and be like, hey guys, look through this. And then everybody message me like your top 2 and we'll narrow it down to like what seems to be consensus we all want to do, And then that way you can plan ahead and buy tickets in advance. And sometimes it includes includes transportation, so if it's like you're going to go tour some town or something, then they'll pick you up and they'll drive you around. And then you guys don't even have to figure out all of that logistics because there's a professional who does it every day who can help you do it. And so sometimes those tools can make it even easier for you to do exactly what you're talking about, Kat.
I think what you said about I feel like every family needs that one person that's willing to say, like, when everyone's like, oh, I don't know, I don't care. Like, there has to be that one person that's like, okay, we're going to do this. This is, you got to have one person that's like willing to kind of take charge and get things done. And
we
also,
are leaving at 10 a.m. Everybody
yes,
be up and ready.
Yes. Otherwise, it will be 1:30 and everyone will still be laying around the house. And then the thing that you wanted to go see closes at 2:15. By the time you get there, you're going to, and I think also I've learned that when you're traveling with a big group of family, everything takes a long time. Yes. Like it takes longer to get out the door. It takes longer to get in the car. The whole process of moving a large group of people just takes more time. And you kind of have to build that in and just expect.
Pack your patient pants.
Yes.
Let's pack your patient pants.
Pack your patient
Bring
pants.
something to occupy your time. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep, I love that.
And also I will throw this in. Anticipate the person that is the hungriest in your group being hungry before everybody else and being ready to eat again before everybody else is. That way you will stave off a lot of arguments if you keep people fed. This is what I've learned. So absolutely try to anticipate that before it becomes a problem. When somebody's hungry, it's a problem now.
It's too late. Yeah, it's already too late.
I'm a snack person as well.
Yeah.
So I'm packing snacks and try to keep people from starving to death till we get somewhere to eat. I will say though, if you travel with young children, my family is fantastic. We went to the beach last year, the beach that we stay by the Taco Bell because that is our frame of reference of where we stay now. And it was the best vacation I had in a long time because my uncle was taking my kids to the pool because he was taking his kids to the pool. My aunt was going out on the beach, so she took the kids out on the beach to throw football. So there was a lot of downtime that I'm not used to having because I am the planner and the mom and the doer. So don't take that for granted with an extended family trip if you're a mom with small children thinking, oh my God, it's just one more thing I have to do, because a lot of times your children will be occupied with just the sheer amount of people that are there. But I will say too, at the same time, if you have small children and you have people that get irritated with small children, I could see that becoming a problem. And you may want to book somewhere that has outs, you can go out on the porch. You can go, down the street to eat. Somewhere that is easy to get out around. We had a little cul-de-sac you could go walking. There were picnic tables, so if my kids were bothering you, you could, go, or I could take the kids outside. So I do see that being a problem sometimes.
I think even without kids, our family has a lot of introverts. I'm not one of them. But we have a lot of introverts in our family. And so every single family unit has at least two. So when we plan travel or even holidays at this point, we have gotten to where we plan for that. So we're like, okay, we're going to have downtime to balance out our active. Everybody's participating now, but you're going to have some downtime after, and then also we've gotten to where we try to consider, do they have a place to escape to?
Yes.
And they, if we're all sitting around watching TV and chattering and they're like, I'm peopled out, can they go somewhere and close a door and be away from us that is not going to be problematic or rude, will they have to get in their car and leave the building, or can they go somewhere private and enjoy themselves? And so that has really increased the enjoyment as a group since we started being intentional about that. And so when you're choosing locations, you might want to consider that if you have introverts, even if everybody's grown, like we don't have babies in the house anymore, but everybody's grown, but still it's a real issue if we haven't planned for it.
That's a great point, because we have the same, like we have 5 kids. So like we're a big family just with our own family, not even adding in extended family. And we do have some extreme introverts and some extreme extroverts. And you've got to build in places for both, and allow for that downtime, but also allow, we went to the beach last summer and we looked for a place where, if some of the kids just needed some downtime, they could stay in the, we did a Airbnb Verbo thing where they could hang out, in their room and just have some quiet time. But there were things like in the little neighborhood where we stayed that those that wanted to keep going could go on their own, be, it was still safe, but they could have some activity and, kind of give that separation. And like with older kids, or even, older, like grown family, we brought stuff to do at night and in our downtime. Like, so we brought like card games and stuff like that, so that when we were hanging out at the house, we, had something to do to like connect and bring everybody together. But we didn't always have to be out somewhere, doing something. It's good to have built-in time to relax.
Yeah.
Have you guys come up against any like conflicts or disagreements, or that you've had to like work through as a family?
On our last beach trip, somehow I did not estimate the amount of beds that we needed. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know if I read something or understood it to be wrong, but we were a bed short. So each family took a turn one night. They had to sleep on the couch bed. So we had some rooms upstairs that were kind of like the moving rooms that they had their stuff in. And so they went to their bathroom. But we did have, but nobody really complained. I mean, we all kind of laugh a lot of things off. And they were like, well, next time, we'll double check the number of beds versus people. I really think what happened was I had an uncle that wasn't sure he was going, and he didn't think he was going until the last minute, so I didn't count him, and that made up for our beds. But everybody was super gracious about, tonight's my night on the couch bed. And the first time that we went back, the original first time, me and my husband were newlyweds. I will say this is a funny story, but we didn't think about, so we had the correct amount of beds, but the top floor didn't have a door to the room, and part of the wall went into the stairs. So we were the only ones that didn't have children. So guess who took that room? The newlyweds. And we were laying in bed one night, and my 16-year-old cousin the living room was on the other side of that. He laid on the couch. And so me and my husband were in bed one night. We were just kind of talking to eat, how you'll talk in bed. And my cousin just chimes in like he's in the room with us. And we just had just a fantastic conversation till midnight, laid up there and laughed about it. But the only problem with that was my oldest uncle's an early riser, and he would get up at 6 a.m. and turn the TV up to 100. And so me and my husband was staying up till midnight laughing with my cousin in the living room. And then we were being awoken at 6 a.m. with the TV at like 100. We've ran into some things, but it always makes for the best stories after. I mean,
that's hilarious.
I think, it's been a long time since I've traveled with younger kids, but when my stepsons were 11, 12, we took a road trip to Florida, and we got this beach house, overlooking the beach and all these things, and I was like, oh, this is just wonderful, this is great. And one of the first things that they did was close the blinds over the window that looked out into the beach, because they wanted to see the TV better to play their video games.
And you were like, this is not what I had in mind.
Yeah. And so
paid a lot of money for that view.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was, I had expectations where the kids were going to be like, oh, I think that's a stepmom problem. It's like, oh, this is going to be the most fantastic group. And, oh yeah, I think I'd want to just play my video games.
I think expectations are really the key though, right? For all of that. Like when it comes to traveling with any group that's not just like your immediate people, expectations are the key. And like Cassie said it at the very beginning of this episode, like sitting down and laying it all out on the table from day one and saying like, here's what we're hoping, here's what we're expecting, here's what we want to put into it. Like being really clear about those things up front is the key. And when you are traveling with people where you don't have the kind of relationship where you can easily have those conversations, you're automatically setting yourself up for some conflict. I think that's why some people avoid traveling together. But if you can practice, I mean, what a great, coming from a family where my parents are family therapists, what a great opportunity for you to practice that. If that's not part of your family dynamic, is to sit down and have a conversation openly with your family. But this could be true if you were traveling with a group of friends, right? That you need to be really upfront. And I think when you do hear stories of extreme conflicts. I mean, unless people are just crazy, which there are crazy people, and those would be very entertaining stories for us. But like, thank goodness that's not usually the case. Like, what really you're going to talk about is money, who has to sleep where. Oh, why did they get the king suite and we have to sleep on the sofa bed? Like that would be a normal fight among a family, I think, and so being able to like talk up front about what's going to happen and why and how the decisions are made is so powerful. The only story I'm going to share is we went one time exactly to Disney, and it was a multi-generational family trip, and none of us had ever been, and we all went together for the first time ever. So the first time we ever used a travel agent because none of us knew what we were doing, and she planned the whole thing and it was so great. But our private conversations before going, like as a couple, we're concerned that we're not all on the same page about how money will be spent on the trip. Like we've already paid for the trip, but in a day-to-day basis, when we're in the park and now I'm hungry, great example. I'm hungry. I'll be the first one hungry. I'll be the first one that needs to go to the bathroom. I'm worried about how that's going to affect the group. If we're all like, hey, but we're trying to run across the park to get on this ride. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom and then I got to eat something. And otherwise I'm going to murder all of you. Like, we're not going to make it. Like I was truly concerned, not only that I would be unhappy on the trip, but that I would create conflict, that I would affect others in a negative way on our one big expensive vacation together. I was concerned about that before we ever left. And so, we had to kind of plan ahead and say, okay, how are we going to handle it? Like, I want to have that conversation now. What is going to happen when I'm hungry and everybody's like, oh, well, we saved the bologna back in the car. And I'm going to be like, nah, I'm eating right now. I don't care what you are doing. I'm going to eat, And so just to have that conversation ahead of time so that we didn't have a fight in the middle of the park and then ruin like 3 days of everybody being tense because I lost my cool being hungry one day, So I think really communication ahead of time of what you're expecting and having backup plans about how you're going to deal with things if there is a conflict that you foresee is going to happen is such a great way to just manage it before you even get there. Like, get ahead of it. Yeah. That's really the best. Like, be brave while you're at home and get ahead of it.
I think, too, it's important to not to think, don't project your expectations to everybody else. These are the things I need to say that I enjoyed the trip is not what you need to enjoy your trip. Especially with Disney. Me and my husband started Disney back when my original son was 2 years old. And we were a go every minute of the day, running here, running there, barely stop to eat. Like, let's see how much we can get done. Okay. Fast forward to my baby being born, who is now 4. He slowed us down quite a bit. My husband still wants to maintain that momentum. We are unable to maintain that momentum. Now add on my mom and dad who have mobility issues and my sister and her husband who are just slow by nature. You really have to dial down your expectations. And a lot of things they do, like my mom is willing to watch my kids for us to rope drop the park because she would rather sleep in. But then my husband thinks that you're wasting the money on a park ticket if you're not there from the time it opens till it closes. But as long as everybody is enjoying their day, it doesn't matter if we've got what we want and they've got to ride 2 rides and eat and they've had an equally exciting day, then everybody's happy. So let's not, say that, oh my God, if we don't tour this lighthouse or do this thing, then, it's going to be a terrible trip. Everybody's going to have a terrible time, because that's not the case.
That's such a good point.
Yeah,
right.
And
sometimes somebody needs to stay back for a day. If you're doing 7 days at Disney, 7 days in Europe feels the same, let me tell you. It's just a lot of walking. It's a lot of It's a lot of everything, right? And so if somebody is like, this is my 1 week off and I just need a minute, can I just sit this part out? To give them the freedom to do that and really not I get all up in my feelings about it. And I'm like, all right, does this mean they're miserable? Does this mean they're unhappy? But no, usually they're going to be happier and we're all going to be happier and have a better time if you will let them if they're brave enough to communicate to you what they need. Hey, I need to sit this part out and we'll meet up for dinner. Awesome. You're all going to end up happier when you can let people have that freedom to do what they need to do in order to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to wrap up on. That kind of summarizes everything we talked about. If just having a little flexibility and letting each person have what they need to have a good trip, and being clear about expectations and planning for food. That's the most important thing. Plan for food.
Don't be so tight with your food budget. Let's put a little extra money
Let's
in
eat
the food budget.
The food, everybody, and
Totally
nobody gets angry. Bring the snacks.
I would rather pay $7 for Disney Mickey-shaped Cheez-Its than have my child have a meltdown and have to leave the park. So just pay the money for the Cheez-Its and go on.
Yep.
Same.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Let's end with our usual question. Where is your mind today? What have y'all got for me? Tina?
I think my mind went to Italy because I would like to have a trip there, maybe with my mom.
I've
never been there. Yeah.
I love it. I'm thinking about France for the same reason. My mom lives in France and I get to go visit her this fall. So I'm excited to go to France, plan that trip.
Awesome. Cassie?
I think mine's probably South Dakota. We're going to do a road trip home from Yellowstone, and we're going to stop and see a couple of sites, and Mount Rushmore is one of them. So I've been looking for things to do in that area recently.
Cool. Well, mine is Disney. I'm thinking about Disney. All this talk about family trips. One of these days, we want to take all of our family to Disney. So that's kind of what I was thinking about. So now that you've heard where our minds are, you can share your answer with us on Facebook under this week's podcast question at facebook.com/travelbuggirls. You can find us on your favorite social media by using @travelbuggirls. And you can join our VIP group on Facebook. It's on Facebook groups under TBG Travel Bugs or at facebook.com/groups/TBG Travel Bugs. Thank you all for being with us today.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Travel Bug Girls podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It really helps the show grow and allows us to bring you more amazing content. We'd love to connect with you on social media. Find us online at travelbuggirls.com. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and safe travels.